Welcome to Storytime Hour. It's my community service for being such a good boy at the beginning of the year. Man, I told you, I think you guys thought I was joking, that I decided it's time to embrace the gunt, to live the life of Ethan Ralph. Because the Ralphamel's winning, son. I want that life. I want that life of a crack shack. I want that life of dating a horse, getting engaged to a horse. I want that life of being an absent father. I want that life. This might be the last story time hour. I was only had to do this for a week. And in this short time with you, we've learned that I picked up a habit of Xan bars and booze. If you can't handle Xan bars and booze, I don't know who you are, son. I also spent some time with this guy named Bronx Beats. Went down to Texas Dolls. And I had a good time. Now, I woke up to morning. Oh, I'm sorry. I can barely speak. I woke up this morning with a pain in my neck. And I have this pain in my neck. I was bleeding. You see? I was bleeding. It's bleeding. I think the bleeding has stopped. This is the second gauze I had to use. It wasn't much of an injury. It looked like two red puncture wounds on the side of my neck. Oddly, there was hair in my bed. Not my wife's hair, not my hair, but hair that I think belongs to a goat. I don't know if this could be right, but with goat hair in the bed, puncture wounds on my neck, and I swear, in my dreams last night, I think I saw the silhouette of a goat. Was I visited by the chupacabra? Some sort of goat dog thing? Or was it something else, some other cryptid we've not discovered before? Some sort of vampiric goat that sucks blood from people who probably have AIDS. Me. All right. So, ever since I've been going through I have some shivers, pounding headache. Feel kind of faint, lightheaded. I asked my parole officer if I have to do this. They said I did, so there's that. Some of you guys will come in afterwards, and that's okay. That's fine. I have to do it regardless. It's part of my community service. Now, I'm going to read you guys a story called Lake Monster. Now, this story is a straight-up horror story. No funny business, no ass stuff, no shit stuff, no sex stuff, none of that. It is a straight-up horror show, horror story. All right. And this story is featured in a book. I'll go ahead and plug it on the screen here because everybody plugs their stuff, right? If you're not plugging your stuff, what are you doing? This right here is it. Dead Man's Tome Monsters Exist. Back in 2017, this thing came out for $9.99. You can pick up a copy if you so wish. I will read you my story and maybe a handful of others down the line. Totally optional. It's probably one of the better things the Dead Man's Tome has put out. it definitely benefited from additional editing, and it has some names in there that you might recognize if you read horror, especially if you follow the horror scene, the indie writing and all that, the Horror Writers Association and all that. So, with that said, let's go ahead and get into this story. First, I need appropriate atmospheric music for this. There we go. Now, this background might actually put me to sleep. The sound of a swamp. Sounds nice. All right. I think that's appropriate volume. I don't know how loud it gets. We'll find out. Okay, so let's go ahead and get this started here. This reading. Like I said, the story is called Lake Monster, and it's by me. Is this thing still bleeding? I mean, I don't know what happens when you get bit by a chupacabra. I don't know if you turn into one. I don't know if you turn into a furry. I don't know what happens, but we're gonna find out. Lake Monster by me, Mr. Deadman. Here we go. Oh, actually, wait. Before we get started, I need a light of a smoke. You know, next time I order cigars, which is going to be soon, I think I'm going to skip out on cigarellas. I don't know what I was thinking there. Cigarellas just kind of pissed me off because, I get it. It's convenient. It's a shorter smoke, but you might as well just be smoking a cigarette at that point. I mean, if you want a cigar that's going to be a brief smoke, then you're not really looking for a cigar. Then you're looking for a cigarette. What I like about a cigar is that it takes a while. It's not about the rush of the moment. It's about enjoying the time. Wait, where's my lighter? Where's my damn lighter? Hold on, let me take care of something. My dogs are barking. All right, let me go and get this started here. Here we go. Lake Monster by me. Here we go. Strap yourself in. It's kind of a period piece, too. That's not a reference to anything weird going on in the story. Hold on, I got to preface that. This is actually probably one of the more basic stories. The 1965 Ford F-100's headlights pierced the darkness along Texas Highway 199. Bright as the beams were, the shroud of night was too thick, struggling to illuminate the way down Shoreline Road. Gary scanned the half-lit asphalt with a degree of caution, one hand on the wheel and a tallboy of Schlitz in the other. His eyes strayed long enough to get a quick taste of the ice-cold brew, and why not? This time of night, no one would be the wiser. his arm hanging out the passenger window. Willie sat shotgun. He tapped along as Conway Twitty's I Love You More Today played on an 8-track. Man, remember the last time we came down here? Willie adjusted his tater trucker cap. Shit, man, Gary grinned. You got so drunk your fat ass almost drowned in the lake. The two partook in a mutual laugh, concluding with a synchronized chug of beer. Willie wiped his lips on a hairy forearm, some dripping onto thick chest hair. I'm surprised you weren't too shit-faced to save my ass. Let me tell you something, Gary said. I come from a long line of functional alcoholics. My mom was a drunk, and my mother's mom was a drunk, which makes me one. But you see, I was born a drunk. You get what I'm saying? After guzzling the rest of his beer and crunching the can, Gary tossed it out the window. Yeah, my mama wasn't no drunk. Willie took another swig. Hell, man, your mama is as sweet as apple pie, said Gary, staring directly at Willie's face. The two shared a sort of tender moment only two dudes could share, but it ended when something darted out in front of them. And Gary was quick to turn the wheel. The old pickup swerved off the road. He slammed hard on the brakes, a loud pop on the driver's side, stopping the truck just before it collided head-on with a tree. What the hell was that thing? Willie pressed a cold can to his chest. What do you think it was? A damn deer? Gary killed the engine. I don't know. I didn't look like no deer to me. It's a fucking deer. Gary jumped out. A root had stabbed into the thick rubber, punctured the tire like a balloon. Fuck me, man. These were new. Willie ran around and hunched forward with a flashlight. His gut bulged out from the waistline of his dirty jeans. His boots dug in the mud as he squatted low. You probably should have been paying attention instead of talking about my mama. Well, thank God you're here to remind me. You don't have to get so angry. I was just trying to be helpful, man. Like the hole in the tire, Willie's mouth was wide open. He had always been something of a mouth breather. I'm sorry, man. I was just that sometimes I feel like I get away from my wife to spend time with my other wife. Gary grabbed Willie's shoulder. And that's no good, man. You see me as another wife? That's the nicest thing you've said to me. A smile grew across Willie's face. His arms wrapped around Gary. His hand pushed Gary's head against his chest. That wasn't a compliment, you know. Gary pushed Willie away. You want me to go get that spare? Asked Willie. Nah, man. We came here to do some fishing. Let's do some damn fishing. We'll take care of this thing in the morning. Watching the bobber drift to the current, Gary lounged in a cheap folding chair near the muddy bank. The soft glow of a pale moon shimmered across the ripples of an otherwise dark lake. Frogs croaked, crickets chirped, and an earthy scent clung to a cool breeze. Gary smiled and glanced at Willie. I heard Nixon is pulling out of Nam. After crushing the can, Willie tossed it. We ought to be grateful that neither of us got the draft. Yeah, we got lucky, rubbing his chin. Gary slumped forward in his chair. You know, I worry about that shit each and every time I check the mail. Same here. Gary flipped open the ice chest between him and Willie. Willie had out a hand for the next round. I'm just glad you came out here with me. I couldn't do this without you. Willie, you're a grown-ass man, weighing close to like 300 pounds. You shouldn't be afraid of nobody. Gary placed the cold can in his buddy's hand. I don't know, man. You ever wonder, if we saw Bigfoot? Asked Willie just before taking his first crisp sip. Man, there ain't no Bigfoot, said Gary. You don't believe in monsters? Look, there's only one monster here in Texas. Only one monster that Texans fear, anyway, and that's a liberal. Gary laughed at his own joke. Although Willie shared a laugh for solidarity, his demeanor stiffened quickly. What about the goat man? Willie's eyes locked on to Gary. You know, they also call him the Lake Worth monster around these parts. Willie, you've been here how many times? We've never, not once, not ever, seen a damn man goat. Gary's words slung like mud that got into Willie's beer. Hey, it's the goat man. Get it right. We don't want to disrespect it in case he hears us. Chuckling nervously, Willie put his finger to his head like a horn. Nah, man, it's a bunch of bull, said Gary. They've got photo evidence, man, and a police report. You're telling me you don't believe? It's even in the paper. Willie, just because you read it don't mean it's real. Them scientists want you to believe because they're trying to sell you fear, man. It ain't scientists. A couple ran into something out here with like goat legs and a lizard body. Gary laughed. It's true, man. They were attacked. That this thing just came out from nowhere and started throwing tires at him. Well, then where's he at? I could use a free tire. Gary stood up and shouted, Hey, man goat, get your ass over here. I hear you give him out tires now. Don't do that. Don't do that, barked Willie. Gary plopped down in the chair and fetched another beer. What about that thing we saw on the road? Willie adjusted his hat. The deer? I gotta tell you something. It's gonna sound weird. I know. But the time I fell in this here lake wasn't no accident. I swear on my mother's grave, something grabbed me. Willie's eyes were ice cold. The chair collapsed from the strain of Willie's fat ass and plopped into the mud. Whatever, man. Gary laughed as he got up and adjusted his pants. Look, I gotta take a piss. When I get back, I don't want to hear nothing about this man goat shit, all right? Gary walked behind a tree, assured Willie wasn't trying to sneak a peek. He unzipped and let it hang and waited for it to drain. The air was chilly and quiet, like a morgue. The sort of quiet that puts a keen emphasis on every sound, no matter how insignificant. Rustling leaves put a pause on his piss, shriveling his pecker. The lingering, eerie silence gnawed at his nerves. He scanned the darkness for the source. The moonlight filtered through the trees and enveloped everything in a cascade of shade and shadow. Gary was determined to find the source while standing in the comfort of marked territory. A twig snapped, and Gary yanked up his fly so fast he almost nipped the skin off his dick. He thanked the almighty Lord for sparing his manhood, not just his junk, but the fact that his moment of panic happened without Willie being the wiser. Hey, man, we get anything yet? Gary sat down in the chair, grabbing another beer from the ice chest. His fishing pole was gone, so he carried the ice-cold slits with him, searched the dark waters for a sign of it. Willie, please tell me you tried to catch that son of a bitch that stole my pole. Gary shone a flashlight out of the water and slashed through the darkness, catching nothing but a reflection. What's wrong? Cat got your tongue or something? Gary glanced over his shoulder, and the shattered remains of Willie's broken chair lay on the mud, but the fat bastard that broke it was gone. Come on, man. Don't tell me this about the man-goat thing. I was only kidding. Gary assessed the area and noticed drag marks in the mud leading towards some trees. He shook his head and struggled to imagine someone or something hauling Willie away without passing out from exhaustion. Willie, stop playing around. Gary followed the trail to some trees. This ain't funny, man. You can't just be like telling monster stories and disappear. It ain't right. Advancing towards a pocket of darkness, Gary stopped at the sight of two small, glowing points of light. He knew they were eyes, but eyes like he'd never seen before. These illuminating red orbs pierced through him, as if to search his very soul. With trembling hands, Gary dared to cast light on the creature, but it refracted into the darkness near its face. Not sure as to what he saw, Gary stepped away. There ain't no monsters, Gary consoled himself with a sip. There ain't no monsters. The engine of his Ford fired up and roared. Gary dropped his beer. Willie! He could hear the mechanical churn get louder, but the cab was vacant. Fearing the worst, he rushed to the truck, and Gary yanked on the passenger door. A slew of crushed cans spilled forth and pooled at his feet. Muddy prints and blood splatter decorated the interior. Gary tried to swallow, but his mouth was dry. Willie! Yelled Gary. His Winchester was gone from under the seat. The driver's side had broken glass, boot prints, and droplets of blood. Gary searched for his keys, but paused for a moment. Whatever it was that may or may not have killed Willie was out there, and he may not be able to do a damn thing about it. He could flee, sure, and die in the process like a damn coward, knowing what he had to do. Gary killed the engine and pocketed the keys. He went to the bed of the truck to fetch his toolbox, retrieving an old rusty hammer. The boot prints went away from the truck, but then stopped, seemingly to glance back at it. There was an indentation on the vehicle's roof. No blood splatter. Whatever it was had really spooked. Gary tracked the prints for a few feet and heard the crack of a 12-gauge shotgun. His 12-gauge. Somewhere near the lake. Willie! Gary yelled as he whirled around several trees. Hang on, I'm coming. Brushing through some branches, he thought he was getting closer, but it did not take long for doubt to eat his confidence. He made it to the bank of the lake, only to find himself alone. Gary waited, not sure why. The flashlight cut through the night, up and down the edge of the lake, but Willie was nowhere to be seen. A faint gleam caught his eye, beckoning Gary to get closer to the lake's edge. To his surprise, he found his Winchester poking from the water, as if reaching out for his hand. He reached forward, but his fingertips were 2 inches too short. Gary's feet sank into a layer of mud like a bowling ball and shit. Kneeling into the chill darkness, he dropped the hammer and wrapped his hands around the barrel of the shotgun. Gary? Willie splashed, flailing around like a drowning ape. Willie, you all right? Gary called. The look of panic on Willie's face rattled Gary's nerves. He pulled his gun from the mud. Take my hand, man. Gary reached for his chubby friend as he handed closer with desperation. But Willie splashed and kicked, yet wasn't moving. Something had him, something beneath the water. And just like that, Willie was pulled under. Gary raised his gun, lined his eyes down the sights. The dark liquid rippled and bubbled, rose to the surface, but he couldn't hear the scream. Gary tapped the index finger against the side of the trigger and waited. Another ripple, Something dark emerged from the water, something big, something that would give the devil nightmares, but it ducked back into the water. Gary took a chance and fired. Silence. Gary fired again and again, entering the chamber of his Winchester at the thing beneath the water. The lake turned crimson, and a body floated to the surface. A fat, bloated carcass, barely recognizable. Gary shined a light. His heart sank into his chest. His skin turned white. A grave sickness grew from his core as his knees buckled. Willie! Tossing his gun aside, Gary ran further into the lake. He waded toward the body, a mound of bloody hamburger on its chest. Chunks of brain and splintered bone poked out from a shattered face. A single dead eye looked straight up at him. Oh, God. Jesus. Gary grabbed the corpse and pulled it towards the shore. His legs were intact, his jeans soaked, but otherwise unscathed. No teeth marks, no penetration. His feet were still intact, his boots still on. The monster had him, yet Willie's remains told a different story. Gary collapsed onto the moist soil. His body shook. His fingers trembled. His skin went cold. His hands gripped his face. Fingers pressed against his skull. Nails dug into his skin. He did not kill his friend. Right? He did not murder his childhood friend. How could this happen? How could God let this happen? How would he ever explain this to Willie's mother? How would he ever be able to break the news to her? He was no murderer. It was the monster. It was the goat man or the man goat thing, whatever Willie called it. That's what did this. That's what killed his friend. Because he ain't no monster. Now, it was a short story, like I said. And it's pretty normal compared to all the other crap I've written. Just a tale of two dudes fishing together. All right, just a tale of two dudes sharing some beer, having a good time, fishing together. That's all it is. That's all it is. All right? It's a story that a lot of people could relate to, I suppose. You know, drinking buddies, you know? Yeah. Let's see. I wonder what else I could read here next. Let's see. Monsters Exist has a handful of stories that are pretty good. Lake Monster is mine. Mine's not the best, far from it. I think one of the better ones might actually be, let's see. Well, you could read. There's Wicked Congregation, which is amazing. There's Murder of Crows, which is really good. Master Vermin is really nice. The Rat King by Christopher Powers, that's good. Kelpies, Leo X. Robertson, another good read. Bloodstream Revolution by M.R. Tapia. Now that one's about the Chupacabra. I don't know if I can handle that one tonight. What we can do instead guys read Creatura. Creatura. I'm not even sure I'm pronouncing that one right. Let's see. All right, let's go and read this one. It's by John Palisano. Well, man, this is not working right. This reader's not working right. There we go. There we go. All right. Well, we'll read this story here. Creatura. By John Palisano. You guys. All right, here we go. Well, God damn it, Bertha. Bertha, being the unreliable Jeep Cherokee she had been since day one, has just decided to throw up all her coolant while mangling yet another perfectly good aftermarket radiator right here on the side of the northbound 118. The white hot smoke billowed upwards, obscuring the perfect clear canyon country sky. I want to take off my baseball cap and smack it against the hood. I mean, I've seen that so many times in movies. It just seems like that would be the olive and the martini. But I have another idea. This is an aluminum baseball bat on the back seat. Along with all the painting supplies Jerry is entrusting I get back to Pasadena. I figured I could use the bat to beat the hell out of the damn Jeep. Take out some existential frustration, which, if I'm to be honest, is sorely needed. There's just so much nothing a man can take out of a truck. There's so much nothing a man can take out of a truck, yeah. I inhale a deep breath and count backwards from 10, like Jerry told me to do when my temper flares. Give myself time for the red to pass and for my thoughts to unravel and wind down a bit. It works enough for me to think I should go back in the cabin, plug in my phone. I can at least turn the ignition to the first position and power up the phone while something big, wet, and nasty hits me squarely in the side of my head, knocking my cheap camouflage baseball cap straight to the ground. The whole side of my head is slimy and covered in warm goo. I put my hand up to my face, but stop touching it because my skin tingles, burns. Then it stings worse. Water. Get some water on it. You got one of them mini bottles of Arrowhead in the cup holder? I hurried over to the driver's side door, aiming to get that water into my ever-hurting skin as fast as possible, when something else crushed into my shin inside of my left leg. I look down and see another heavy glop has struck, rolling away from me. As it does, I make out the distinct features of the skull of some kind of creature. Looks too small to be a person's. Looks like it's got a snout, but maybe like a little mini gunt. Like a mini guntling, maybe? I don't know, like a little pigling. Its strange face looks gaunt, the skin uneven, bumpy, and colored reflective greens and silvers. Similar to the lizards so prevalent in San Placerita. A sound like a hellhound stepping on a rusty nail fills the empty desert air. Now ain't no dog or coyote I ever heard sounds like that. Damn it, I bet you every little nerve in my body is standing at attention at that sound. My fight or flight responses curve straight up, and the get the living heck out of here now top of my mental RPM engage. The thing comes straight into view. No warning, no suspense. It just appears, all lanky, and I'm blinking and ready to gore me into plastic wrap man steaks. Well, I didn't get through all of it, but I went through just to end up like a decent meal and be processed and flushed away. My own stomach is empty. It's burning. I feel it. Well, I didn't get through all I went through just to end up a decent meal to be processed and flushed away. No, not me. So what if I came out west to make it as a musician, but ended up being doing odd jobs? Get the fuck out of here, I say to the thing, not sure where I got the strength to open my trap like that. But to hell with that thing. I ain't having it. It isn't having me or my smart mouth either. It comes covered in a gray-white fur, its arms long and lanky, its face determined. God damn it. Intelligent as all hell. It is not some kind of stupid animal. It is something with smarts, probably smarter than me. Every bit of my body goes cold, then hot. I'm gonna die right here. No doubt. I brace myself. The thing is going to rip me to shreds. I know it. I look it in the eye, and neither of us blink. He knows. And I know it's a guy. Instinct. But sure, how or why? Maybe it's the obvious lack of female bits. But that's never a sure way to know, now is it? But there is something in the creature I recognize as being male. Maybe it's the aggressiveness. Maybe there's a hidden scent I recognize. I understand what it is, though. La Creatura. The desert creature we heard much about as kids. Like our own version of Bigfoot. Only instead of it hiding in the northwestern woods, this thing hides out in the desert. Something's amiss with me. It's something in a suit. Just screwing. Its mouth opens, and a shriek unlike anything I have ever heard offends my tender ears. I covered the sides of my face, of my head, with my hands before I have a chance to think if the gesture could be misinterpreted, or, of course, it right away is. The creatura charges me. Its feet so fast I don't even register to get out of its way. It crashes into me, its head lowered, connected with my sternum, sending me about 10 feet back. I launch full out, arcing backward in a humiliating backward dive, landing flat on my spine. My head banging the hard earth, and the wind pummeling out of me. For a second, all I see is black. After a few blinks, the stars come into focus. I raise my head, look around, but don't see the creatura anywhere. It's gone. You think I've been dipped in paint sauce and fired over a spit I heard so bad. Now goddamn my ass, no one's gonna believe a piss of this is true. Some dumb desert monster Bigfoot come out and kick my ass, and I got all the painting and stuff to get to the site out for tomorrow. If I don't show up, I got no job. And Jerry was taking a chance trusting me for the first time. Motherfucker. Even with the supernatural evidence afoot, my boring old practical mind is trying to keep normal and keep straight. If I survive, after it's all over, I still have to go to work. There'll be no free ride waiting just 'cause I'm going through something like getting beat up on the desert. Imagine it's best to just keep the whole thing to myself anyway. I got the bat in the back seat. If that thingamajig comes back, I can have a go at it. Maybe not win, but maybe at least scare it long enough so I can get the hell somewhere relatively safe. I placed my phone in the cab, just sitting there in the cup holder. No, I picture my phone in the cab, just sitting there in the cup holder. Just get in the Jeep, lock the doors, call someone. This will all be over. And something lands right on top of my gut. My body flinches in response. My legs and arms going upward. My face turning down to see what it is. Another head. Looking half decomposed. I can't tell if it's a man's or a woman's or even a person's. The creature eyes here. It's not alone. Several stand around me, staring and blocking my way out. I crane my head just a little, see if my path to the Jeep is clear. Two creatures block the way. Shit. They thought of that. I'm so dead. Might as well resign myself. What the hell do they want from me anyway? I sit up just a bit, and the head rolls off. A pungent odor, like vomit mixed with spoiled fruit, overwhelms me. It takes all of my will not to throw up all over the desert ground. A raspy, bark-like voice makes a noise. Then I turn around. The first creature I saw, distinguished because its fur has a long gray stripe along the head to the neck, like a lightning bolt. Is doing a little, up and down dance now. It puts its arms out and seems to be gesturing my way, probably a signal for its friends to draw and quarter me. My heart races. Is this it? Is this it? My awful end come to pass? No goodbyes? God damn it, Bertha. God damn it. Why the hell did you have to break down again? What in the hell is wrong with you? You see the trouble you get me in again? I think I hear her talking back. Tough shit, Chuck. You know what you're getting when you got me. There's something in the first creature's hand, too. It holds a head. Then the son of a bitch looked at me in the eye, its own eyes twinkling, then lifts the head to its mouth and tears into the noggin. Like when my Uncle Marty was having a Disneyland turkey leg for the first time. Thank God the face is away from me. I don't think I could stomach seeing it eat someone's face off anyone, even if I don't know the guy. My tolerance has got limits. Taking the head from its mouth after what felt as long as 2 songs you get when you pay for a lap dance at Jimbo's, the creature has again looked at me in the eyes. I'm still on the ground, on my back, as vulnerable as a chick that's fallen from its nest. It nods at me. The others grunt. They all grunt. What the hell do they want? I look around. One points at the head on my stomach. It lifts the head in its hand to its face, and then I know what it wants. Hell. Hell's to the no. I edge backward. My body burns. And then I know, I inch backward, my body burns like holy water tossed into a bloodsucker. The creatures growl and howl and lurch, their claws curled, long black nails twitching, ready to butcher me into 1,000 cuts of useless, bitter man meat. One advance back from the back, rushing at me, its arms raised, a yell erupting from its throat loud enough to chill my insides. Thing's gonna kill me. I cringe, raised and armed by instinct as the thing winds its arm back, coiling back for the strike. Another screams, the first cry, Tira. And the one that's pegged me with the several heads, clothesline, the aggressor, makes it fall right on top of me. Its eyes were half a foot from my own. They looked right through me, and the light brown colors remind me almost the same as my dad's. Letting out a ear-shattering roar, its maw opens, line of pointed dark shark teeth. Hope I'm dead. I hope I'm dead when it tears into me. Those are going to hurt like hell. The thing's breath could make the hardiest sewer worker lose their guts. Warm spittle covers my face, and I can't help but shut my eyes and mouth. I'm going to die. Think of something fast, a prayer. God, yes, save my soul, dear Jesus. Make this be over quick so I can be by your side. The howl stops. I think I'm dead. You're not dead, you idiot. Your eyes are closed. So I open them to find the creature still on top of me, only sitting on me cowboy style as it holds the severed heads in its hands or in its claws. Its weight, as much as I know, is no way to escape. It shakes the head at me twice and grunts. The foul stench of the head makes me gag. It wants me to eat the head? The creature's gesture makes it clear. Well, when in Rome, I say, our canyon country, some shit. Knowing full damn well that what I'm going to have to do, I breathe out and steel myself, reach out, grab the head in my hands, and clamping on either side. The hair's wet. The hair's wet and moist and warm. The damn thing's warm. Like maybe it's relatively fresh. Or after the briefest moment of consideration upon recently upchucked by some of the Christras. I gave them all one last look. They glared at me. They glared back. All of us apprehensive, like preteens hoping our uncomfortable signals of the square dance are acceptable. They couldn't fit this whole thing in their mouths. I raised the head toward my face. Maybe they yacked on it in a bit. Sorry. Maybe they yacked on it and their bile is melting it, kind of like what flies do. The reek is overwhelming. There's absolutely no fucking way I can do this. No way I can be. I bite down on the nose. Not sure why. Maybe it's because of sticking out the easiest target. It's all chewy and salty. My gag reflex is on fire. There's nothing else I could think about other than keeping it down. Don't throw up, man. Don't throw up. This is it. This is do or die. The creatura still straddles me. Only stronger. I'm not going anywhere at all. I try and chew and gnaw. I swallow. Open my mouth wide and stick out my tongue. And the creatura roars. Only it isn't angry. The thing is overjoyed. I partaked in their ritual after all, and that's what they wanted. Only I finished the nose. Once I finished the nose, I labor on the cheeks. The flesh comes free, and it tastes like it's been cooked in hot stomach acid. Hot stomach acid. Gross. There's another flavor to it that I can't quite place. Greasy, robust, like fish oil. My lips go numb, then do my tongue and throat. My head spins a little like I'm high off of hallucinogens, and this works out well because my inhibitions break down. I feel like I'm in a heightened trance-like state as I gobble. Soon, I don't taste anything. I don't care about what I'm doing. I'm so high, I probably could saw off my own pecker and eat it as if it were nothing but a raw hot dog. Happy to report things didn't come to that after I consumed both cheeks, 2 lips, and the chubby part of the chin. My head goes light. The creatures roar. I swear they are laughing at me. My head spins and twists. never is soaked into that flesh of the whatever is soaked into the flesh of that detached head is winning the fight. I can't keep my mindfulness any longer. Nope, I pass out. Last thing I feel are the remains of the head pitching. Last thing I feel are the remains of the head pitching off my chest and plopping onto the sandy ground next to me. A moment later, I feel something on my right eyelid. Then I see Criteria ogling me. One last glance into the peculiar reptilian face, rigged with matted white fur. It draws back my eyelid as if to see if I'm alive. I bet my pupils are enormous as quarters too. Whatever it recognizes makes it okay for me. Whatever it recognizes makes it okay for the thing to get off me. I'm so baked, I can't even blink or swallow or breathe. Somehow, my body manages without my mind being there. Dew covers me. I wake to find myself lightly coated. After a night of sleep in the desert, morning comes, and I rise just as the sun breaks. I realize I'm alone. Even the semi-dissolved head is gone, thank the Lord. When I get up, nothing hurts. Nothing at all. I feel fine, considering what I've been through. The real problem is that Bertha still won't turn on, and I'm not visible from the highway. The phone, though, I'm lucky on that one. The battery's still okay, and I have plenty of power. But I call Jerry. I glance in the rearview mirror to see how I look. Even though I've been worked over, there's nothing to show for it. So my planned explanation that I've been attacked won't fly. I settle for something that doesn't sound too far-fetched. Hey man, what's up? Jerry asks when I reach him. Well, look, I broke down last night in Canyon Country. Everything was closed. So I just had a few beers and crashed out in the back of my Jeep. Didn't want to wake you up. Didn't want you to worry about the supplies. We should still play with the band tonight, too. Okay, Jerry says. You all right? You okay? I'm fine, I said. But Bertha may need her walking papers sooner than later. You and that Jeep have the most dysfunctional relationship. I like the drama. Keeps things fresh. So I think I'll still have that AAA tow letter. Can you meet me a little later after for the handoff? No worries, Chuck. I could come I could just come to the shop and get the stuff, give you a lift home. Just call me when you're ready, when you're close. Jerry does just that. The tow truck comes, brings me and Bertha to Pasadena. I pay a little extra on the account of the distance, but I'm grateful to do so. Right after Jerry drops me home, I take a nice, long, hot shower. By then, it's night again. And I crawl into bed. But the damn sheets are so itchy. Feels like they're mites or bed bugs crawling over me. I just can't sleep. I scratch at my skin. My hair feels unusual in places. Rougher. After I turn on the bedside light, I observe straight white hairs rising out from places on my arms. I tried to brush them off, hoping that they weren't mine, but they're growing from me. No doubt about it. Soon, there are more and more of them. My stomach growls and I grasp. I haven't eaten anything since that night before oh no. The thought makes my mouth water, my aching stomach rumble. I miss my breath. And then, when I'm catching it, my voice sounds like something else. Something animal. Something primal. When I itch inside, then I itch inside like I never itched before. I feel pulled, caught, compelled. Every bit of me knows what I have to do. I need to feed. So that was The Creatura by John Palisano. Now, these two stories I read here are not shitfest and not all that crazy. I mean, that's why there's low attendance today. That's all right. I'm the one who's obligated to do this for community service. Y'all aren't. But y'all usually come later, as it is. Now, this story is pretty good. I mean, I don't know if you would eat a severed head. Would you eat the flesh off a severed head if you had to? Could you do that? Could you do that for survival? If I do further story times, we can read some other stuff as well. Maybe things that really get your interest. Some have suggested erotica. Some have suggested something about tells something. I don't know. I'll have to see what they're talking about. Sounds like some sort of Sonic fanfic. All right. Well, I think I will wrap this stream up here.